Welcome to Flosstube and Variety Show number 172, I think it is. Interestingly, I just realized I have not made the little opening slide that goes before the video. Normally I make that first, and normally I make my description field, and I'm not sure I have done those things. So the description field tells you what I've shown, it tells me what I've shown, and I use it as a script, or I used to when I had my computer right here, but right now my computer is right there because it is what I can see myself in slightly out of the corner of my eye with this new setup, which you're tired of hearing about. And I hope that it's okay. Anyway, today I'm Emily Williams in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and today is Friday, October 3rd, I believe, 2025. Thanks so much for joining me today for this Flosstube. Flosstube is cross stitch. Variety show is something else, and we'll find out what that is. I worked a little more on Bertram Savile Ogle. This was from the All Things Bright and Beautiful red box by Hands Across the Sea. I'm doing this on 46 count Latte using 103 silks. And I worked on, where Emily, down here. On the dealies that go there. And so on this other side, it's so hard for me to see what in the world. Yeah. So I worked here. So all I have left is this before I get to these words, which will take no time. Oh well, and the border. So it's not that it's almost done, but it is almost totally cute, isn't it? Yep, I'm enjoying that. And I will tell you that I think in December, I'm going to stitch Oscar. Teresa, you'll be glad to hear that. Which is a little Hands Across the Sea, another sampler by a boy. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I worked quite a bit on the Queen of the May from 2024, Hannah Green 1826, and I did not focus entirely on getting done with the August section. What I did instead was to bring some things down to the bottom. Here's the whole thing. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Whoops, this way. I mean, it is really, whoops. It is really beautiful. But I brought it down to the bottom on this side. Peacocks, I put those in so that I will be able to stitch the green grass around them. And I plan to carry the green grass, so I'm over here. I am over here. It's mirror image. I'll just say that. So I'm over here, and I plan to stitch that top line of where the green grass comes so that everything below I can fill in with green while I'm on this trip. And I left a few other things unfilled in also over here so that I can add those to the list of things to do. The peacocks get their feathers filled in with satin stitch in this gold color. Interestingly, so the chart gives how much thread you need for the different colors and the different counts of fabric, the different types of thread. And one of the options it gives the information about is if you're using DMC, 2 strands on 36 count. And so that's how I purchased thread. And it says that I will only need 1 skein of the pink color. For instance, it's in the inside of these flowers. And the yellow color, this light yellow, which is in the border, this outer border. It's one of the lines in there, as well as several other places, including the little yellow house on either side. Said only one skein. Well, I am going to run out using one skein, and I am not, I don't waste the thread. So it's a good thing that I have a Michaels nearby. In fact, I think that in both cases, I had another skein in my stash. So I worked some more on Margaret Hutton, Hands Across the Sea, another thematic piece. This was from the Queen City Sampler Guild event in May of 2024. It has not been released yet, although I kind of would think that Nicola would release it. It has a lot of specialty stitches in it, which was part of the point. So I finished that lower central, so here's the whole thing, the lower central flower, and I think it's so pretty. And I did a peacock. So this peacock is finished. And I started on the tree that is underneath the peacock, and that tree has full cross stitches as well as backstitched frondy things. Is that in focus? Kind of. So that has been very fun to do. I keep thinking, oh yes, Emily, no problem, you'll be able to finish that this year. And then I remembered that there are some significant things I haven't done. For example, this eyelet band is not finished. That's, where am I trying to go? It's as if I don't even know my right hand from my left. Have you ever done this? So that eyelet band needs to be carried across. That's one thing. The border needs to be finished. It all is supposed to have these flowers filled in. And throughout the lower part of the sampler are over one crowns and initials. It isn't the over one part of it that's concerning me. It's the fact that there are, I think, 13 crowns and initials. And I had thought about putting my own family's initials in there. And so I've sort of collected who I might put in there, and I haven't come up with 13. I mean, I could easily come up with many, 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 many people, because in certain generations, my family was large and my husband's family is large. But I might just put Margaret's people in there. I don't know. I also continued to work a little bit on this, Upon My Heart by Plum Street. This was it was commissioned by the Queen City Sampler Guild as our 30th anniversary design. And so this is the design that I think probably will be released in next year sometime by Plum Street. But I also have some charted 30th anniversary type verbiage that I can use. So I've carried on the border a little bit, and I've been working more on the house. This is 40 count Dolley Madison by Needle and Flax, I think. Is that right? Yeah. It's quite a bit darker brown than I think is ideal for this, but it's it'll be nice. On the other hand, there's some white flowers over here, and they need to show up right here. So, I mean, they hardly show up in this picture. So having a dark linen, I guess, makes sense for that. The little doves on top of the house kind of show up. I mean, they're fine. They show up better in person. This is a variety of threads, some DMC, some Weeks, some Classic Colorworks. I think that's all. Now, finally, the last thing I'm going to show you is Under the Roof. It is not finished. Don't get your excitement going. But I don't think I've properly shown it to you since the beginning of September, or maybe even sometime in August. I have less than 3,500 stitches to go. So I have over here, nope, wow, over here, you know, some of that stonework, and there's a person back there in the archway, and finishing up the rose bushes that are up here in the sky. And I've been doing a little bit every now and then, not every single day, but every now and then. I figured out that if I work on this and do 100 stitches a day from the time I get home from England, if I didn't do anything more, if I did about 100 stitches a day from the time I get home from England until the end of November, I would finish it. And that's possible. I think that's kind of reasonable, actually. That is 18 count ivory Aida with 2 strands of DMC. So, here we go. A couple of plans. I didn't bring out the Oscar chart, which I just mentioned, that I thought I might start in December. I mean, the beauty of the Oscar chart is its Christmas chart. So, but I will show you this, which is kind of Christmassy. It's called Winter in Baltimore by Brenda Gervais. Now, I got this kitted last year when I visited Shepherd's Needle in Arkansas with the called for everything. There's 3 classic Colorworks and 1 sampler threads. And this is 25 count mushroom Lugana, I believe. 28 count. So I was attracted to this because it's the quilt blocks. But at the time, they did not have the little paper mache box that this is supposed to go on. You see that it's attached to the outside of a little box. And they didn't have that in stock. So I decided I really want to work on this. So I called, said, do you have the box? And they do have the box. So they sent it to me. And I think you can get this kind of thing at Hobby Lobby, which I don't have one super close. And I did look for it at one point and didn't see it there, maybe some months ago. So I decided I would just go ahead and order it. So I want to start this. It's yet another over 1 project. And I say yet another, I actually am not doing any over 1 projects. I mean, everything I'm working on, a lot of things I'm working on have some over 1 in them. But I was thinking more that the Quaker pattern book is not over 1, but it's on 56 count linen. And maybe that's the only thing that's on tiny linen. But anyway, I'm going to work on that. So when I get back, because, you know, when I get back, I won't have any new projects to work on at all, right? Nothing, not a thing. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was this. This is Laura's Frisian sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery. And you see that it's, down here, it says Threads of Unity. So I think if you look up Threads of Unity on Etsy, you will get to the Etsy shop where this and 5, I think, other charts are being sold. And all the proceeds go to support breast cancer research in the UK. Now, Emily, what made you decide to get this? Why breast cancer research in the UK? Well, it wasn't really that drew my attention to it. It was the fact that 2 weekends ago, the Queen City Sampler Guild had a Zoom lecture by Jacob de Graaf, the Modern Folk Embroidery person, where he talked about Frisian samplers and another group of samplers from Northern Europe there. in that area, the lowlands area. And it was a fascinating lecture. And he mentioned this because of being involved in the fundraiser. And I had heard about this because this is Laura Duet, owns the antique of Brenda and the Serial Starter, which, I mean, I feel as if anybody who's watching my Flosstube who doesn't watch that one, you must, I don't know how you came to find mine. It's this mystery to me. Not that everybody who's found theirs has found mine, but mine is such an obscure little corner of the internet compared to the big Flosstube names, one of them being Brenda and Laura. Anyway, I learned about it from them, and then I learned about it through somebody else who had gone to Stitch West, Stitch North, Jacobpalooza, some event like that, where I think it might have been Jacobpalooza last year or 2 years ago, where he had charted this. The antique belonged to Laura, and he charted it and reproduced it. And so at the time I was interested in it. And then when I saw it was available through this Threads of Unity Etsy shop to benefit a good cause, breast cancer research anywhere in the world is worthwhile. We all need good research into things like that. I thought, well, I'll just buy it and support the cause over there. So I did. It's not that big, actually. And it's available. I mean, it has one of the files is usable on Pattern Keeper. So it's possible that I would give this a start sometime next year. I think it's about 7 colors of floss, but that's if you want to reproduce it exactly as it is. It's also possible to stitch it in fewer colors or all one color. But it has several elements in it that he mentioned as being typical of Frisian samplers. So it seemed like a very good way to sort of connect that lecture and what I enjoyed learning in that lecture with a chart that I could easily get that brought somebody else some benefit, because even if I never stitch it, at least it did some good that I bought it. So that is something that is going to be on the list, the potential start list for 2026. But you know, I was thinking the other day I should do a, what do they call it? Whip parade, because there's some things you've not seen in many months. I've never done a whip parade because most of the time I have 6 to 8 whips, and you see them often enough that you don't need a parade of them. They don't need to all come out at once. At the moment I have more. I have about 15 or so projects, and I'm sure that there are some that if I showed them to you, you would say, oh, I totally forgot about that one. One of them I'm sure you've forgotten about is the tiger stare that I'm going to work on starting when I finish Under the Roof of Blue Ionian Weather. And I also have another full coverage piece that I might start. I don't know, does seem a little crazy. None of the rest of what I'm doing is at all crazy. So what am I doing? What's going on? What is your variety show topic for the day, Emily? Well, I don't really have one. And I'll say that I've been so focused on getting ready for being gone that my variety show would be to tell you where I research different new backpacks and getting ready for the state fair. I'll say, you see this quilt back here? This is a wall hanging quilt. I'm going to enter it in the fair. So the rule about the fair is you have to have finished the item since the last fair. So within the past year, what have I finished that I can enter in the state fair? Well, you remember last year I entered 2 quilts, one which I made myself, which was Scott Sudoku quilt that won 3rd prize in its category, a white ribbon. And the other one was a quilt that Cindy and I made together that we entered in the duet category that won a blue ribbon, the 1st prize in its category. And this year, I don't have a bed-size quilt completed that is worth entering. And I don't have anything that's close enough that I could have scrambled to get it done. So when the deadline for entry was September 15th, i.e. you had to declare what you were entering. Well, I have had this top finished. This is as I say, it's a wall hanging size, basically. I'd had the top finished for 11, 12 years maybe. But it was one of those quilts that I was afraid to quilt because I was afraid I would ruin it. It is such a nice quilt. I did not want to spoil it by quilting it poorly. So I just didn't quilt it. It never actually finished it. And this year I decided, first of all, it's red, white, and blue. I want to have that finished for the bicentennial year. That's not it. For the 250th year, which there is a Latin origin phrase, hemiquinquacentennial or something like that. Half of the 500 years is what it means, what it translates as. So I would like to have it finished so that I can have it hanging on the wall next year in celebration of that. So that was one thing that made me want to finish it. And the second thing is I don't think I'd ruin it by quilting it. And I don't think I did ruin it by quilting it. I think it's fine. I don't think it's prize-worthy. I mean, hopefully it's slightly praiseworthy, but I don't think it's prize-worthy. But I'm going to enter it regardless because I think it's good for me to enter things in the state fair. So that means I have to finish the binding. I'm mostly done. I'm probably 3/4 of the way finished with the binding, which means hand sewing the binding to the back of the quilt. And I have to put I don't know if you could see that at all. I'm just fiddling around back here. Who knows what you can see. Sorry about that. I have to put a sleeve on it that they would put a dowel through so that it could be displayed. And that's required to put it in the fair. So I have to do those 2 things. And I'm thinking, I have plenty of time. Well, I don't really, because Cindy and I have to drop this off at the fairgrounds on October 12th, a week from Sunday, basically. So I have to get moving on that. The binding will not take any time, and it won't actually, in the scheme of things, take any time to create a sleeve for hanging it, but it will take some time to make myself go up there and do it. So I have to get busy on that. I can't just keep putting it off. This weekend should be my goal because next Sunday, a week from Sunday, is when we drop it off. So anyway, that is going. That is something I'm working on this next few days. I ordered a new suitcase for this trip. It came, and I justified ordering it because if Byron and I go on a cruise at any point, which I think we should do, we're going to need a bigger suitcase. One of us, at least, will have to have a bigger suitcase for that kind of a trip. At least so I think. And last time when Leslie and I were in England for the Great British Sampler Weekend, which was the precursor of the Mrs. Parkman's Academy of Needlework, I don't remember what size suitcase Leslie took, but I took a carry-on size, and I was very I felt very uncomfortable about how everything was packed when I came back. So I don't want to be that way. And we're going to be gone a couple of extra days, and we're going to be on a bus tour in Wales where we're going to have to pack into a smaller bag. And so this bigger bag will hold the smaller bag better. A lot of B's in that sentence. So I think that will be better. So anyway, that is something I have done, and I've selected it. It's Travel Pro. I think I got the red one in the end. Yeah. So what else has been going on? The weather has been spectacularly beautiful. We did have a lot of rain. A couple of big tropical systems, hurricanes, I think they both graduated to the level of hurricanes, were around dropping rain early this week and over the weekend, last weekend. But now the weather is just gorgeous. Today's high is in the mid-70s. It's been sunny, a light breeze, not too windy. It's just really beautiful weather. In the mountains, I believe the fall color is at its peak about now, or if it isn't yet, it will be in a week. Byron and I do not together go to the mountains for the fall color. We asked Scott and Natasha one time, so if we wanted to come up for the fall color, what would your recommendation be? Thinking he would say when or where or whatever. And he said, Mom, my recommendation is don't. Because it's apparently, under normal circumstances, it is bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Blue Ridge Parkway and on other scenic roads. The restaurants are jam-packed. The hotels, such as they are jam-packed. Wall-to-wall people everywhere. Shops are overrun. Now, of course, they need the tourism. That part of the state really depends on the fall leaf season for tourism, which is one of the big losses they had last year when Hurricane Helene came through and just knocked so much out. Not knocking trees over, although it did that, but the infrastructure and the roads and so on were so damaged that there was almost no tourism for the leaf season last year in that part of the state. So they really need it. They need it. I'm not going. Byron and I will not try to go up there. And fall color, the peak of fall color in this area of North Carolina is usually around the second week of November. So I will not miss that. I will be here for that. Right now, it could be summer outside. I don't know if you can see out the window behind me how brilliant the green is out there. The thing that's definitely happening, though, is that the light is different since the equinox a couple of weeks ago. The light is much more slanting in the late afternoon. So that's something different. What else? Anything else going on? Nothing else is going on. Nothing else. So, again, a sort of week on the variety show. I'm sorry. You'll get more than you can stomach a variety show coming up because I will, just one moment. So, my husband just came in from having been working outside, and hopefully I will have cut that out. We'll see if I've done that or not. Anyway, at some point you're going to get more than your fill of a variety show because I will have trip reporting to tell in another few weeks. All right, I was babbling so much last time. I want to try to be more clear. I will make a video next Friday, and that will be the last video for 2 Fridays. I will not make a video 2 Fridays in a row. Then the third Friday in a row is Halloween. And I will not make a video that day, but I will try to make a video earlier in the week that week. And I will probably post it whenever I make it. So it won't be posted on Friday. It will be posted earlier in the week. Partly it's because I'm going to be gone that Friday. And if there's ever an issue with the video being posted, I would rather be home to figure it out, to address it, to discover it and address it. So, yes, video on October 10th, I think is next Friday. No video for 2 Fridays after that. A video sometime during the last week in October, and then resuming a normal video schedule on November 7th, which is a Friday. So that is what's coming up. And the video that is off, that's not on a Friday, that's during the last week in October, will be about our trip. So, but I will reiterate this next week, hopefully at least as clearly as I just have. So I think that that is all I have to talk about today. I hope that you are having a good fall. School is well underway now if you have kids in school or grandchildren in school. The weather should have moderated for most parts of the Northern Hemisphere. We should be, if you happen to be watching from the Southern Hemisphere, you're heading towards summer, and good luck. Good luck to you. I look forward to seeing you again next week, and I guess that's all. Many blessings to you, friends.